Hello Internet, Mike Byrne here from MMOBomb.com, bringing you another first look video, and this time it's for Magic Legends, the free-to-play ARPG developed by Cryptic Studios and published by Perfect World Entertainment. And if that combination strikes a little bit of fear in your heart due to performance issues, monetization, and other notable PvE/Cryptic Studios staples in previous titles, oh well, it probably should here too. Now, the game is officially labeled as being in open beta on the PC now and will eventually launch on consoles later this year, albeit with no current plans for crossplay or even cross-progression, and hopefully that changes. But this open beta tends to feel more like a launch than an open beta. There won't be any wipes of your progression, and the cash shop, much like the Death Star, is in fact fully operational, season pass and all. Coming from a background of playing the Wizards of the Coast card game that is the source material here, I looked forward to the release of Magic Legends with a guarded optimism due to the publisher-developer combination at play here, and having now had my hands on the game for about a week, I can only say that the game it's an exercise in frustration on so many levels. There's so much here that could be good. With some more polish, some more refining, some more development, and maybe it will get there, but right now it's hard to think about how this game originally intended to launch in 2020 before being delayed, as it isn't quite ready for prime time now, all these months later. Starting off in Magic Legends, you'll be tasked with the creation of your Planeswalker, a being that has the ability to jump from one plane in the Magic the Gathering universe to another. This initial choice doesn't have many cosmetic decisions to be making, as that comes later in the game in what I think is a rather intelligent loot design. But instead, this choice sets you up with your initial cards used as abilities, and a few class-specific abilities, including an ultimate. Choosing the Necromancer, for example, sets you up with a few swamp-based cards to get your deck started, a primary attack, and two class-based abilities. You'll learn your ultimate a bit later. This pattern holds true for all of the 5 base classes you can choose from at the start. Now, don't get too bogged down here, as the game's primary leveling is twofold: your class levels and your Planeswalker levels. Think of the Planeswalker leveling as your account level, and you'll have the basic idea. Leveling your Planeswalker will eventually lead you to being able to unlock all of the other starter classes later, so one character can do it all in this game, with the exception of advanced classes, of which Assassin is the only one in the game right now, but more will be coming later. Initially, this class was only available as a random drop in the game's packs, loot boxes masquerading as Magic the Gathering booster packs, or through a flat-out cash purchase or in-game for an exorbitant amount of gold you'll need to grind up. That, however, has changed based on initial cash shop feedback, and now another method of acquisition has been added. You'll net the Assassin class by reaching level 50 on the Season Pass, and that's both free and premium Season Pass users. Once in-game, you'll be taken through a tutorial area to Zeem that initially was way too long for enjoyment, but according to the devs, will be shortened soon and will allow for party play for groups of up to 3 sooner than it currently does. It's during this tutorial you'll probably start to see some of the frustration I mentioned earlier in a number of ways. Visually, the game is fine. Not great, and it could use some more detail and polish, but it's serviceable. Voice acting, again, works, but isn't all that great, and the game will sometimes duplicate the audio of the previously spoken line over the text of the new line from an NPC, or sometimes not even play the audio at all.
Dear sweet Garolf, see how quickly his anger faded when he needed something from you? Oh, let that be a lesson. You destroyed his home, yet he still came to you for help. That, my dove, is power.
The UI is sparse, with tooltips lacking here and there, and the tutorial itself suffers from this same lack of guidance at times, sometimes teaching me something I had already unlocked and had to just figure out myself 40 minutes earlier. The planes you visit do have a certain amount of elemental flavor, with Tazim being the green plane and Gavany being the black plane, mana-wise, for example, and this is a nice touch for Magic the Gathering fans. Seeing certain characters come alive and certain spells being represented in the almost 200 cards available in the game does have a certain appeal to them, but again, this will only be a spark to Magic the Gathering fans, so it's a more limited appeal. Looking at the world itself and the game's primary unique feature, the deck building and rotating abilities, reveals more of this, well, we put it in the oven and it looked done, but maybe the middle needed to cook some more approach. The world is empty and totally devoid of challenge, and yes, you can increase both the instances and the overworld difficulty as you level up, but you'll be walking around in a world that presents zero challenge for a while before you'll be able to make that difficulty change. It's not just easy, it's almost impossible to die unless you get caught up in server connection warnings or performance issues, which seem to be a hit or miss thing, with some users getting all the bugs and others getting very few. My biggest area on this was doing the Echo of the Witch event in Gavany. During one attempt, I kept getting the server connection timer countdown, and in a second attempt, I couldn't see the bosses as there were too many other players on the screen for them to actually render the bosses for me. But back to the world itself, there's very little reason to explore this world. Yes, you'll move from point A to point B for your main story quests, a story that again feels sparse without being totally absent. And in each plane, there are events that randomly pop up where you can score some extra experience and loot by defending a tower or clearing out a pack of werewolves. But these events are recycled in various locations on the map, and don't expect to come across any treasure chests or anything right now in the world. Besides monsters and the Rift-like public events, there just isn't anything else going on here. Now, most of this could be forgiven by a lot of hardcore ARPG players, though, if the combat and loot cycle is engaging and fun and something you want to do for hours on end. And again, for me, Magic Legends is close, but still not quite there. On the combat side, the deck building mechanic is interesting, and I enjoy it more than I thought I would. Once you unlock the ability to use all 4 ability slots and unlock the use of deck building, you can mix and match cards into a pool of 12 card-based abilities. At the moment, you can only build mono or 2-color decks, but hopefully this will change in the future. This pool of 12 abilities randomly draws a card and adds the drawn card to one of your 4 ability slots. Use that card, and after a short cooldown, the slot becomes filled with a random ability from your pool of 12 cards again. Each card costs mana, and your mana bar refills over time based on the build of your deck. What this does mean, though, is that your 4 available abilities are constantly changing, since you can't put more than 1 copy of a card in your deck. So pressing 1 on your keyboard now may fire a vertical AoE area, but after the cooldown and card draw, the 1 key may now summon a skeleton. You have no way of predicting or memorizing your abilities and their location on the hotbar. This means that you have to always look at your hotbar to see what cards you currently have, decide which of the 4 to use, trigger it, and wait to see what fills that slot when a new card is drawn. I highly suggest using a controller to play the game. The controller UI is just better, and as it includes the card names under each hotbar slot, and that made it far easier to remember what the abilities did for me versus trying to just remember the card art shown in the keyboard mouse UI. The control also made controlling the side-to-side movable camera easier, although I still think this camera is a bit of a lazy way out of having to design your environments with more thought around a stationary camera that's used in most ARPGs. And the inability to tilt or zoom the camera makes being able to move the camera side to side even more baffling. And mentioning the UI here, I hope you remember your Neverwinter console commands, because you'll need them here, as the options menu in Magic Legends does almost nothing except change resolution. You have to do things like reduce or turn off shadows in the files themselves, or via a console command in your chat window if you're trying to improve your game's performance. Combat itself is fine, but again frustrating in that some abilities look amazing and visually interesting to watch, while others may not even look like they went off sometimes. And a heavy reliance on summoning turns almost every class into a mob of creatures running around your player. A mob that may be helpful, or sometimes may just stand there doing nothing, like they're trying to figure out how they can get their boss to send them home for the day without getting fired and still getting a paycheck. Some enemies suffer from this at times too, just standing right in my Necromancer's ultimate for its full duration with no care for its own damn health bar. At least the devs have said they're going to adjust player-to-player collision that currently is a bottlenecking problem in certain activities. So what keeps me playing Magic Legends then? Because I do keep playing it. Well, again, everything I've pointed out so far isn't totally game-breaking. It's just average at best in most cases. Where I think the game really does have something going for it is in two primary places. First, the music. It's great. A lot of the sound design is okay, but the music is phenomenal. I just wish it actually played more. Second is the loot and character advancement loops. These are actually pretty good. As with most ARPGs, you'll be grinding a lot, and the loot is the reason. You'll do this first and foremost to upgrade your favorite spells into more powerful versions of themselves, and to grind out mana of various colors to build up your personal realm, an area that is basically the endgame at this time. Unlocking and building features of your realm vastly impacts the stats of your characters, the type and amount of loot or XP you get in the world, how fast you can level other classes. I mean, everything. The endgame is all about grinding and building your realm, so get used to that feature quickly. Equipping gear, relics found in hidden reliquaries, and other items, on the other hand, changes your stats, but doesn't change your character's appearance in any way. Instead, when you acquire a piece of equipment, you also get its costume unlocked. This isn't just limited to the actual equipment look, though. It may unlock a whole new head you could put on your character, or a new hairstyle, or a new body distinction. Visiting a tailor in-game is the only way to change your character's look. Hit up the tailor and swap around as you wish to get that perfect look. Now, this feature actually serves two purposes. One, I think it keeps the loot engaging, even if you're picking up pieces that have zero stat advantage for you, since it does unlock basically the transmog for the piece. Loot almost always has value to you. Second, and probably more to the point of why the system hits cosmetics this hard, is, of course, the cash shop. Cosmetics sell, and Magic Legends has a ton of them. Those familiar with Perfect World Entertainment cash shops are going to know exactly what to expect here. Just like, say, Neverwinter, Magic Legends features a cash shop full of cosmetics, scrolls for upgrading your spells, packs, which are basically loot boxes, a season pass, and the ability to exchange Aether, a farmed-up currency in-game, into Zen, the cash shop currency used by Perfect World Entertainment. Granted, most of the items can be obtained in-game either through random drops, chests at the ends of missions, or even, like in the case of card upgrade scrolls, from the consignment broker in-game on a limited and rotating basis. But yeah, if you want to fast-track it, you could throw down some cash and do so. Packs, the loot boxes, are only available via Zen right now, the cash shop currency, so you'll have to pay or exchange farmed Aether for Zen to buy them. Although there is a spot for packs in the consignment shop for in-game gold, but 0 packs are actually available to buy there in the beta so far. When it's all said and done, though, I think Jason Winter actually sums up the game quite well. In its current condition, which I would argue shouldn't have been released yet, and certainly shouldn't have the ability to rake in the money the way I'm sure it has, is a more casual ARPG. Maybe you'll spend some time in it here and there, but in a world that includes Diablo 3 and Path of Exile, just to name two, not to mention upcoming sequels for both of those titles, I personally find Magic Legends to be at the shallow end of the ARPG pool. It's fun, it's safe, it isn't dangerous, it doesn't take any risks. You probably paid too much to get into the pool, and if you get bored, the stairs to the pool are right there for you to leave quickly. Now, hopefully, as beta continues and things are added and changed, the game gets more of a deep end for itself established, but maybe that won't be in the cards. Who knows? I hope you enjoyed this look at Magic Legends. Make sure you click on that subscribe button for more videos like this in our weekly podcast. And once again, I'm Mike Byrne from MMOBomb.com saying stay safe, and we'll see you on the servers.